Hi! So, today I'll be showing you how to animate text. This is going to be a very simple tutorial, but there's a lot more you can do with this. So, let's get right into it. So first, we have our text here. Hello, Mr. Freeman. We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. Now, what we'll do with this first is we'll get a source for this text. Then we'll drag this and make an input. Drag from the display over here to make the actual input. Drag this text over here into the string input. The reason that we're doing this is because we just quickly want to make a string input so that we can store the text away from this field here. Because next what we're going to be doing is we'll actually make a drive, which will completely null this text, which would have meant that it would be entirely gone. Now next we need some nodes from the string category, first of which being the string length, which will allow us to get the length of the string, which is 82. Next, we also want the substring node, which is somewhere here. If I wasn't blind, there it is, substring, which this node basically allows you to have an input string such as hello world, and then get an output substring. So for example, if our start index is 0 and our length is 4, it will be hell. If our start index is 1, we offset the start of the string by 1 to the right, which would mean at a length of 4, our output would be hello. Now we can use this because by default, this gives us the entire string unmodified. So if we plug string length into it, this would simply also give us the entire string unmodified. What we just have to do is just put the actual string we are already using into here, and then plug the substring into here. Sorry, I'm still a bit sick. So, the next thing we have to do here is we have to make this string length here go from 0 to the number we want it at. So what we'll actually be doing here is that we'll add a data value field of type integer onto here, because we'll be actually using a method that requires a tween, in actions tween value integer. Now what this is going to be doing is it's simply going to be animating this integer value from 0 to the value we want it to be. And the reason why we wanted this value field here is because tween requires an I field integer, not a regular integer. Meaning also that we wouldn't be able to use any regular variables with it. And then we simply plug this into here, and there we go. Now we could animate this from the current to this current string length. We'll just set the from field to 0. Duration, let's set that to 1. Actually, that's the default. And curve, smooth, would start rather rapidly and then slow down as it approaches the end. Smoother would do the same, but then be even slower. And linear would step through it at the exact same pace at the start and the end. Now, linear is probably the best for typing animations because you don't want your text to suddenly start slowing down to a crawl as it is almost finished. We do not need to simulate writer fatigue. So let's just put this like this, and then if we have this tween here and we call it, you'll see this value go really quickly from 0 to 82. Let's change this here to be about 2 seconds instead, and you'll see it a bit longer. Next, we want a source of this value here so that we can plug it into the length. And if we grab this call and move it over here and then click async call, you'll see it'll simply type the entire thing out. Now, one thing that we can do from here is we can actually make this a bit prettier. The way that we make this prettier, actually, but first moving these nodes down here so that they're more out of the way and we have more space to the left of it, because we'll be actually making the duration here variable. So what we want to do here is we want to actually go to operators. Oh, actually, no, let's use math. Let's go to math and get ourselves a remap of type float. It's going to be not ideal, but we can deal with it. So if we move everything even further left and move this down here, we could then plug this as string length into the remap value. Now this value here is going to be the string length right now, which is 82. What we can then do is we can add a little bit more to make this a bit cleaner. So we'll add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Now it's at 100. So now our input minimum is going to be 0. Our input maximum is going to be 100. So this is the string length. The minimum string length of 0 and the maximum string length of 100. Now, remap is a bit special here because minimum and maximum are the min and max you define for remapping purposes. Realistically, though, there is no minimum. If you break the minimum, it'll simply continue using the curve that you defined here and continue. So if you go 0 to 100 with an output of 0 to 1, it'll now give you 1 with 100. However, if we were to go to 200, which is out of range, it simply goes to 2. So it properly continues to map the values. Right now, this means that if we have 0, our duration would be 0, which makes sense because if you don't have any strings, it won't take any time to complete. However, if we have 100 characters, how long do we want the typing animation to take? Well, I'd say for 100 characters, maybe something like 7 seconds. And we can test this by simply clicking on the async call. Oh, but I forgot to hook it up, so let's just hook this into the duration and replay it. So now, as you can see, it's operating at a much more nice pace. And if we were to actually replace this with something else like hello world, and we also need to update this here. So what we'll actually do is we'll rotate this like this, move this up a bit, make this go into both those here, and there we go. So now it's at 11, which gives us 0.77. So if we click this, it'll be the exact same speed as before, just it's going to be a lower duration because it's less text to type out. So regardless of how much text we have, it's always going to be pretty relatively nice. All right, just copy this. Oh, guess I bugged it out a little bit. Let's just do this. And new line, and let's just spam this with like a bunch of characters. And as you can see, the duration it's going to take to complete goes up as the amount of characters goes up. So now if we were to click this, it would still write at the exact same speed. However, since there's a lot more characters, it'll take longer to complete. So this one will actually run for 20 seconds, and once those 20 seconds are over, it's going to be done. Now, if you wanted this to be displaying different text every time you, for example, trigger it with a final text of being something else, all you'd have to then do is just change the text that you're triggering with. So that, for example, you can trigger this text field, then this text field, and so on. You could use this with multiplexers, you could use value cycles. Depending on how you want to trigger the animation, there's different ways you can do it. I have a bunch of videos on my channel that can help you with how to do that. I'll probably also do a video specifically on how to automate this next. Well, or at least automate the changing of the text so that, for example, as you wait, it'll just go through it, which is actually really simple to do. But yeah, I hope this helps you animate text. This will be also, as an example, in my public folder. If you like this video, please leave a like. If you have any other questions or suggestions, leave them down below. And I hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.